Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the What Are We Doing podcast. My name's Levi McCurdy, and this is episode 79. Next week's going to be episode 80, if you did the math correctly. And boy, listen, I'm going to be straight. I'm going to keep it 100 with everybody. I'm going to keep it 100% honest. We were supposed to have Justin Bieber on today's episode. Now, we've been talking to Bieber for the last 2 years, ever since episode 1. If you go all the way back and listen to episodes 1, 2, 3, all the way through episode 77, you'll know that we've been talking to Scooter and everyone else over on Bieber's team for the last, 2 years? 2 years. And so Bieber was supposed to be here today, but unfortunately the flight got canceled and the delay and the Zoom call and the link, everything wasn't working. So I got you the next best available guest. It's my good friend Paul. So Paul called and we chatted. We chatted about new things, old news, new news. And boy, I just think it was a great conversation. We got a little deep with some parenting things, and then we came right back to pop culture. So if you like my friend Paul, show him some love wherever he's at. If you see him walking on the streets, just wave to him and then immediately punch him in the face. Only if you see him walking down the sidewalk on the left side of the street. If it's the right side of the street, you can't do anything to him. But if you see Paul in person walking down the left side of the street, say hi, what's up? I loved you on the podcast. You and Levi are great. Oh my gosh, you should call in more often. And then immediately punch him in the face and run away as fast as you can. I think he'd really enjoy it. We've talked about it. We'll talk about it on this episode. But this is episode 78, dude. So give it up for our friend Paul for calling in and saving this episode because Justin Bieber couldn't make it. We are working with his team to figure out a new date, and as soon as we have that, be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, whatever the social medias are, we're on it. TikTok, YouTube Shorts, killing it over there, thousands of views a week. You know what I mean? It's crazy. And so make sure you check that out and check back. Hopefully, our plan is to get Bieber on before 100, but if that ends up being our episode 100, it'll be great. And if not, if it goes into 101, 102, maybe, who knows? We'll see what his schedule's like. He's busy, him and Haley, you know what I mean? They're busy people. So once we get that squared away, you guys will be the first people to know all about the Justin Bieber episode. But like I said, 78 now. My good friend Paul, you've heard him here before. He was on a few episodes ago on our road trip. It was a blast. Check it out. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is episode 78 of the What Are We Doing podcast. No, 79? Jesus Christ. Episode 79. I love it. Roast me in the comments, dude, because I'm the worst podcaster on the damn planet.
Dude, first off, happy Friday.
The What Are We Doing podcast.
Get another good week in the books. So we like that. Brittany just texted me and said, hey, I called you because she called me when we first started talking because there is a single protester outside the Lancaster Planned Parenthood with a sign that says, love them both, and a little heart where the baby would be.
Wait. Oh, God. Okay. Why are we still doing this? It's 2023. Why are we still doing this? Can we make a list right now of things that we should just not be doing anymore in 2023? It's one of those things where it's yeah, we get it. Hey, every millennial and their sister has seen the movie Juno. We get it. We've all seen, and if we haven't seen Juno, guess what? We're watching 16 and Pregnant on MTV for 18 seasons, which is still on, by the way, and it's still the same girls from the original cast, by the way. Did you know this?
That's bizarre.
How
old are they now?
The kids, they're teenagers. They have their own YouTube channels and TikToks and everything. They're teens now. And so, but what it is because these girls like Farrah Abraham and Chelsea and Courtney and all of the OG 2003, when did it come out? OG girls are still on the air because they can't do anything else. Like, like Macy and Caitlin and Mackenzie, like they're not getting hired anywhere else. Farrah Abraham tried to do the whole pornography thing. She released an anal video, which was great. And, so they just made a spinoff show, like 16 and Pregnant 16 years later. And it's still, bro, Meg's, the clips pop up on Facebook and TikTok all the time for Meg's, and she shows them to me. It's just like, like Chelsea and Gary are now not together, obviously, because, your whole life being on camera with MTV and having 3 kids to this person, something tells me you're not going to make it. And like,
yeah,
she's like
a bad recipe for being a person.
So now Chelsea has a new boyfriend, but her new boyfriend is lying to her about how many kids he has. And Gary, the fat ex-dad of the original 16 and Pregnant kids, is like, hey, there's something you need to know about your new boyfriend. And he like hands him these like papers from the hospital or some shit. And he's like, this paper here says he's got 5 kids and not 2. He's lying to you. And I don't want that liar around my daughter. And like, it's this whole fucking dramatic. Meanwhile, Courtney's yelling at him like, you're just jealous and blah, 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 and you can't see me happy, while she's getting back into her 2014 Honda Civic because that's all she can afford because she's been on an MTV show for 18 years. And it's like,
dude,
it's one of the most insane pieces of our society. So let's add that to the list of things that we don't do anymore in 2023, 16 and Pregnant. And
I like that fun.
And and how did this start? Protesting Planned Parenthood. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah,
are you kidding me?
Like, and it's one person just out there with a sign being like that. So
I love it.
Yeah, Brittany just sent me that. It's like, oh god,
I love it.
Because it also reminds her of a person from her parents' church, so it like triggered her, and I was like, yeah, that sounds right. Sounds like the kind of person that would be out there as a person from your parents' church, just being like,
oh my god,
insane.
Listen, this is how church has changed. This is how church has changed. I mean, you and I have talked about it. You and I were going to youth group like on fucking bouncy houses and playing like Xbox and Wii's and shit. And then occasionally we'd have to learn a Bible verse. But other than that, that was it. Now, youth group consists of volunteers protesting at Planned Parenthood and on the corner of, the Capitol building and just whatever else.
Oh my
it's
God,
just like
going to January 6th, everyone at the youth group.
Right. Holy shit, dude.
Shit,
I mean,
really,
dude, and it's just, it's bad enough every pastor. Well, no, I can't say every pastor. It's bad enough that 99% of pastors in America are grooming the youth group children to eventually marry them. It's like, what world are we living in? Oh,
we're living in hell.
Dude, I'm so glad I gave you that realization, because as soon as you told me the story, I was like, this doesn't sound good.
Kind of gross.
And
kind of gross.
Paul's not really saying anything about it. And I'm like, maybe Paul doesn't know. Maybe he's too close.
Yeah, I just didn't realize it. Too close to the situation. It's way too close.
Oh.
But yeah, so anyhow,
God.
so that.
Yeah, well.
So, yeah. My second thing has nothing to do with anything, but just kind of in the same vein of like pop culture updates.
Go.
So since whatever year, there's a Netflix Christmas rom-com TV show called Dash and Lily. Have you guys ever watched it?
No. Megs and I, listen, here's the thing with Megs and I know that you, and I'm going to try to get her on a different path here, but it takes a very, 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 either convincing or extremely good trailer or hype or whatever it is around something for us to watch something new. Megs and I watch like 2 new shows and maybe 2 new movies a year, and that's pushing it. So if it came out in the last 2 to 3 years and it's not like super actiony and something I need to see personally, like I watch on my own, we probably haven't. I'm looking at it now. Dash and Lily rom-com season 1, Netflix. No, never heard of it.
Well, it's good. It's a really good Christmas one. But in the last episode, there's like the penultimate, like they find each other again.
Yeah.
Thing that happens in all rom-coms.
Yeah.
There's this cool song that I really liked by this artist that I've been listening to. This artist, Gracie Abrams, for a while.
Yeah.
She's got like a cool sound. It's like folk pop kind of.
Okay.
And she just released today her first full album, which is cool. I was like, oh, Gracie Abrams.
Mm-hmm.
What I didn't know, I've been listening to her since 2020 when Dash and Lily came out, and her songs in like the big spot. She's J.J. Abrams' daughter.
I see that. I'm looking at it right now.
I did not know that because I've just been listening to her music and had no idea and haven't looked her up.
Dude, isn't that crazy? I just learned, that Kate Hudson's dad is someone prominent. Like all these,
everyone's a nepo baby, dude. That's ruined. Like I still like Gracie Abrams, but I thought she was just this like young, talented artist.
Right.
And it's like, oh no, her dad's J.J. Abrams.
Right. So now, okay. So let me ask you this. Now, how does that, because it sounds like based on your tone, how does that change your views and opinions? And like, will you remove her from
talented.
Okay.
She's still super talented.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm like, wow, how'd she go from like being like a 19-year-old kid to being like a 23-year-old, like releasing albums with like good producers? And it's like, oh, that's how she did it.
Right. Daddy made a few phone calls. It's like
she produced her first album, this is not what happens to normal people.
Yeah.
Was produced by Aaron Dessner of The National, who is one of my favorite artists of all time.
Right.
But most famously, recently, he produced Taylor Swift's Folklore and Evermore.
Of course he did.
So this girl got him to produce her first album.
Right.
And that's what I'm like.
And isn't that every girl's dream? And do you know, like, listen, I mean, let's be honest. You're telling me that Gracie.
She's going on tour with Taylor Swift too.
Oh, is she?
Yes.
Oh,
so
okay. Well, then she'll be the next. So yeah. So she'll be the next one.
She's really good.
She's doing what Olivia Rodrigo should have done when Driver's License.
She went on tour with Olivia Rodrigo before Taylor Swift.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
The thing is, her music rocks.
Yeah.
Good music. It's like interesting, different type of pop.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this is cool. This is cool to listen to. And then when it was like, oh, it's Jade. I literally today happened. Like 10 minutes before I called you, I saw, oh, her album's out, and I went to click on it and like loaded it on Spotify.
Yeah.
And then I like saw on Twitter like J.J. Abrams' daughter Gracie releases her first debut album, and I was like, I hate everything.
Interesting. I mean,
yeah.
Does it? I mean, so, oh man, does that like?
Also, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Is it so? Like, she's like kind of hot too. But she's 23, and that feels weird now that I'm almost 33.
So this is the argument, and I've been watching.
I want to hear your thoughts on this.
I've been watching videos. I've been hearing discussions because. So that I don't think is so bad. What you just discussed, being attracted to this 23-year-old, no. Bottom line, no. I don't think that's terrible at all, especially when she's on stage in a bra and a crop top. And so, but, and listen, this all stems from, and of course they denied it, but I mean, you're not spending all day, every day with the man and not, touching his dick at all. Apparently, Leo has a new 19-year-old girlfriend. And
He always does. There's always a new one.
Right. He does. Yeah. And so the issue with that, I think, and how old is Leo? He's more than 50.
Close to 50.
Is he over 50?
He might be over. I don't know, dude. He might be over 50.
Leonardo DiCaprio is 48 years old, so he might as well. He might as well be 50. So that's kind of weird. It's kind of, listen, I would say Leonardo DiCaprio dating a 19-year-old is the same thing as people signing up for Bad Baby's OnlyFans at 12:01 the day she turned 18.
That's okay. Yeah, that's fair. I think now.
I
also didn't know of Gracie Abrams until like 2 years ago, which means she was like 20.
Now, listen, is this, but here's the issue. Here's where, I mean, we're just talking hypotheticals and gray lines here. So obviously, like 18's the age. So 19 should be fully okay. It's a societal issue, right? It's not a legal issue. He's not breaking the law in any way.
It's also like power. There's the power dynamic issue with like that. I
would venture to listen, there's a girl I went to college with. Hold on. Hold on. Let me pull. I'm not gonna say any names because, well, I'll say the name. I'll just bleep it out if we use it later. But Christy, I went to school with Christy, and she, in college, so we were all 21, 22. She linked up with this guy and started dating him. His name was Guy. So, Guy, what? It's kind of weird. I hate that shit. I hate it. And it's like, and he was definitely at the time 45 years old. And he's now, I think, 55, pushing 60. Like he's my stepdad's age. He's my father's age, and Christy is our age. And they started dating when she was 21, 22, 23. They named, I don't know if this is new or if we've had the name for a while, but Megs and I just discovered our son, Ollivander, and all his friends, they're the Alpha generation. Generation Alpha. Yeah.
Is that after Z then? That's after Z?
I guess. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
We looped back around to Alpha from Z.
Oh,
is that what's dumb? Is that we should just
wait, why isn't that the case?
Well, it is, because Gen Z, then Alpha again. We loop back around.
Well, yeah, but I mean, wasn't Millennials before that? So we went from M to Z? Like, it should be every letter. Why isn't every generation a different letter?
I don't know. X, Y, Z is, well, Millennial is Gen Y, technically.
Oh. But then X.
It's just that we were born into the flipping to the year 2000. Really.
Oh, so we dubbed the phrase millennial. I see. Okay. Well, listen.
We're technically also, Generation Y.
Yeah. Also, who gives a shit?
Dude, that's something I think about all the time. I'm like, all of this is made up. And there are differences of when you were raised. Like if you were born in the 70s versus the 80s versus the 90s, there's definitely things that are different. And we should, I guess we have to attribute something to be able to measure that. So, okay, you're Generation Y, you're whatever. It is so dumb though, because it's the general sweeping, everyone in Gen Z does this and all millennials do this. I'm like, I know Gen Z kids who act like fucking boomers. And I know Gen Z kids who act insane that I can't even relate to. So it's totally not, it's just a generalization no matter what, and it's stupid as shit.
Hey,
dumb shit.
I just had a thought. When I was, when did my father, when my father stopped talking to me? He stopped talking to me I don't know, 10 years, how old was I? 19, 20, maybe 23. Yeah. So Trump wasn't a thing that, I just realized something. If my father, for no reason at all, never kicked me out of his life, and just abruptly stop talking to me for no reason, or at least a reason that no one's ever been able to explain, I probably would have been at the Jan 6 Capitol riot.
Oh God. Yeah. No.
Think of me now. Take everything you know about me now, and then mash that with everything that I've learned about my father since he's walked out of my life. Basically, he cut the visit to his sister's husband's funeral, a woman who he has been close with his whole life, his sister. That would be like me, going to Christina's funeral 50 years from now. And he cut it short because Trump was having a rally that day and he wanted to get a good seat. He turned my 13-year-old sister into a right-wing fucking crazy loony bin to the point where she's posting on now she doesn't do it anymore, obviously. Hopefully, I think she might have came to her senses. But for about a year and a half, she was on TikTok. I'll try to find one if they still exist. She was on TikTok making let's go Brandon, anti-Biden, fuck you, Trump's my president, Trump, TikToks. A 17-year-old little girl because of her parent. So take all of that. And because my dad, I am my father's son. I act like him. I'm built like him. I'm just like him. Everything I do is him. I'm cheap like him. I'll make fun of him till the fucking cows come home, but it's me to a fucking T. Everyone will tell you that.
Except you like your son.
Well, of course. And yes, of course. I am not directly I'm not directly allergic to human emotion. So it's there's
a name for what you and Megs are doing, which is even moving out of York County across the river. and like doing different things.
Yeah.
That Brittany and I talk a lot about that we both learned in therapy is like your cycle breakers, which is like, you know how in Game of Thrones they say Daenerys is trying to break the wheel.
Yep.
That's what you're doing.
Yep.
So.
Absolutely. 100%. That's such a good term. But dude, my dad was my best friend. I chose when I turned 18 because of the divorce, we were allowed to choose if we wanted to keep the same arrangement every other week at mom's house, every other week at dad's house, or we move out.
Ooh,
obviously we weren't.
That's really tough.
Well, no, that was the divorce terms. So from 10,
but putting kids in the middle of it sucks.
Yeah. So from 10 to 18, it was every other week. I would live with my mom for a week and I'd live with my dad for a week. It was a different life I lived every other week. It was the best. That's why I think I have ADHD. Crazy. And that's why I can do like YouTube voice, because I was one person at my mom's house and a completely different at my dad's. So
dude, that's so trippy to me.
Yep.
But it makes sense.
Yep. But when I moved, and so my stepmom had strict rules, like you had to give her your cell phone by 7 p.m. on weekends. Like it was so weird. She was a fucking nutcase. She's part of the reason why everything went to shit, but it's a story for another day. So I was like, well, I'm going to live with mom because mom doesn't give a shit when I come home at 11 p.m., 12 a.m., 1 a.m., whatever, what I'm doing with the kids or the club or whatever. And, and so I was like, I'm going to go live with mom because the rules are a lot less strict. But I was at my dad's house every other day because he didn't work but the weekends. So on days that I didn't have class, I was just at my dad's house or before class or after class because he lived 10 minutes from school. So I would go to college, go to my class, and then go to my dad's house and hang out because Conlon and Asia were in school and Alicia was working. So it was just dad. So we'd sit there and we'd watch Jerry Springer. We'd watch fucking Jersey Shore. We'd talk about how hot Sammy is. Like we get lunch. We'd drink margaritas. We'd smoke cigarettes. Like he was my best fucking friend. Then something happened. I don't know what. The world shifted. I don't know. And I was told to never talk to him again. It's fine. But if that relationship would have continued, I would have been a diehard Donald Trump fan, and everything I know about politics would have came from my father. And
conversely, maybe your dad doesn't become a big Donald Trump fan if that relationship continues.
Oh, interesting.
Because that's an option. In the flip side there.
You think I would have saved him? I would have saved my father from,
that's something Brittany and I talk a lot about because like Brittany, so my parents and I, like I've never had like a best friend relationship with either of them, but like we kind of like, I talk to both of them semi-regularly. They exhaust me, but like,
right.
It was never that. Brittany had the relationship with her mom, like you just discovered that, like they would like do trips together, like just the two of them. And for them, a lot of it was the fact that, like, they were a family unit after her dad died, and then her mom got remarried, and they had two more kids. Right. So, like, Brittany and her mom have, like, a forever bond, no matter what, no matter what weird shit goes on. And like, that's part of their relationship.
And that's my mom. I mean, even though me and my mom just went through 4 years of hell and drama and not talking to each other, we're rebuilding our relationship now. Shout out Sandy Dunkel. You know what I mean? So we're working through it. But my mom... After the divorce, my mom devoted her life to me and my sister. Now, while she was married to my father, she still obviously devoted her life to her children. But like when she was dating, before my stepdad, when she was dating, where there was, Ron, the hillbilly with the guns in the backyard, or Steve, who was recently divorced, who I think got back with his ex-wife, and he had 2 daughters, and he dated her for a while. He was a volunteer firefighter. Like my mom definitely has a type, and so, but then like it would be us first, and then them. Like I remember. Me and my sister hated my mom dating so much that when she started dating John Dunkel, do you remember the home phones that were all rounded and were all translucent colors? Did you ever have one of those?
I did not have one. My sister had one in her room because dude, holy shit, remember having 2 phone lines?
Yep.
My sister had her own phone line.
Wow, you lucky bitch. You rich bitch. No, we never had 2. And when the internet came, if you were on the fucking phone, guess what?
Yep.
In your ear. Because I'm trying to chat with babes, dude. I'm fucking 13. I'm 8 years old and I'm trying to chat with babes on AIM. Okay, my parents didn't discover AOL Kids until like 10 years later. Like I'm almost positive I was in a chat room. That's what they were called. Yes, I'm almost positive I was in a kids only chat room with like 13 pedophiles. I guarantee you, I was talking to pedophiles at maybe 8 years old when we had a computer. My parents got us the first big all-in-one gateway PC.
The sentence, I guarantee you I was talking to pedophiles, is something that I didn't think I was going to be hearing today, but here I am.
I mean, think about it. Like, I mean, hey, maybe you weren't, maybe you had a different internet, but AOL before.
I definitely was in chat rooms that were like weird and not where I was supposed to be. That's definitely happened to me for sure. Yeah, for sure. I know that.
Like Chris Hansen definitely showed up at the door with a pizza at one of the people I was talking to on AOL Instant Messenger. But no, dude. Sorry. So Brittany and her mom.
Yeah, and like, so she sometimes like, I don't know, thinks about like, would it be different if I had like, because a big shift before COVID was a very big shift in her and her mom's relationship, but it definitely started before like talking through some stuff. Yeah. And she always sort of goes through like, if I had like not put intentional distance to like bring like to find myself, would I have like been able to like not have my siblings also like go down this, like she sort of like plays out the theoretical sometimes,
right?
And like I don't know, I don't think, you know, you can't, it's like you can drive yourself nuts thinking about like, well, what if this happened instead of what happened,
right?
But like, I don't know, dude, it's interesting to think, because like I think personally the like Trump vortex that's beyond Trump now into the like crazy stuff that we deal with that like sucks people into it and like destroys families. I kind of think there's like some result of like, because I know I've seen on like forums even like old people, like people with like our parents' age, being like, oh, none of my kids talk to me anymore, and like I just want them to know about the Great Awakening, and like I think all of it.
Who?
Like,
who said that?
Oh yeah, dude. Who
said that?
That's like a whole.
There's
a whole
parents.
Person,
there's parents mad. I swear to God. I swear on my, and Megs hates it when I say this, but I swear on my son's life. If the words, I wish my son would talk to me again so I could warn him about the Great Awakening ever comes out of Sandy Dunkel's mouth, I'm done. I'm out. I can't. The Great Awakening? Are you kidding me?
And like that shit. That shit pops up all the time, and like
what?
So like
okay,
I sort of
but you're not on
based on all those.
But you're not on Facebook, so where do you see this?
Oh
Twitter?
No, I see people. No, Twitch people who go like, because I listen to and follow people who investigate QAnon and all of it.
Yeah.
Like their Twitch streams, they'll like go through Facebook feeds, or like they'll investigate Facebook groups dedicated to like conspiracy theories.
Got it.
And like it's so sad because I think it's a root of like kind of the root of the American experience of like the fact that our entire country is obsessed with conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Because it's like kind of true, no matter what side of the coin you're on. You're like you think something, like the people like normal Democrat people who are like, Trump's gonna get arrested any day. It's like, dude, it's been years. He's not going anywhere. Like that's not happening either.
So do you think
well, hold on. Let me finish my thought, because I ADD'd away. I feel like at the root of all of it, from all of the stuff I personally have experienced, and then also like following and listening to like podcasts that explore this stuff, I kind of think the root of the fact that we're all obsessed with trying to figure out like who's doing this to all of us, quote unquote, is like at the root of it, like people who are lonely and sad who like wish that their life was different. Like I think that that's kind of the root of it all, and like it's easier to like fantasize about like some big conspiracy and like demonic cabal or whatever, as opposed to just being like, man, I could just like, what if I just apologized to my kids? Like, what if I just did that instead?
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine that. Like imagine. Could you just imagine that after not talking to your son for 10 years, and then you're together for a wedding in Mexico by, just whatever odds in the world, And the first words out of his mouth are, "Hey V, where's my grandson?" And not a sorry, not a hi, not a we need to talk, not a nothing. But where's my grandson? Bitch, you don't have one, is exactly what I told him. Like, come on, bro. Like, what are we talking about?
There's like, that shit sucks.
Did you see the news that I just sent you?
No.
So
no.
Did you give us a full breakdown of the Ring of Power series? Is that what happened? Ring of Power?
Ring of Power sucks. This has been tossed. So like, I've been assuming this would happen at some point. Mm-hmm. Because it's the same thing as everything where we can't leave it alone and but like, those original movies are perfect.
Yep. Sure are. Yep.
Don't do anything.
Yep. So okay, so we get the 3 original movies, right? And they're masterpieces. They've won awards, they've done this, they're beautiful. It's Peter Jackson.
They're like I think they're the most awarded movie.
Billions of dollars in makeup and practical effects and hours and weeks and years of filming. I mean, and so then we're like, hey, let's just, franchise this bitch up and give us 3 hideous Hobbit movies. And so, that was fun for a little while. And then we get Ring of Power, which you say wasn't
good at all. It's not good at all.
Okay.
This is upsetting to me.
And I mean, the caption's fantastic. The caption's fantastic. Yeah. They're using a picture of Frodo holding the ring, and it's like, it's so funny. They're using an image of someone who needs to simply let something go, but can't. But
yeah,
okay.
Dude. Well, like,
so how do you feel? But how do you feel? You're probably not as attached to it as I am, but how do you feel about Harry Potter and the Cursed Child with Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Stone? No, not Emma Stone. Emma Watson and Daniel Rupert.
Wait, they're making that?
They're making it into a movie, and the 3 originals are set to come back. Yes.
Play that was written in the play was like a Broadway play, or not a Broadway play, but like a England, whatever the big Globe Theater, I think what it is.
It was a play. It was a play based on Harry and Jenny's child, right? The Cursed Child.
Obviously. Later, it's later. Everyone's grown up.
Right. And then they turned it, and then the manuscript became a best-selling book, or the whatever. It became a book, and now obviously they're making it a movie because the Fantastic Beasts series failed because of Ezra Miller grooming children, even though they're still putting him in movies and putting $1 billion into The Flash, and Johnny Depp's trial, unfortunately. So that kind of killed Harry Potter. Warner Brothers. What's funny is, like, a week ago, they said it was dead. A week ago, Warner Brothers came out and said, hey, we're done with Harry Potter for now. We're going to kill the franchise. Maybe we'll revisit in a few weeks, few months, few years, whatever. And then a few weeks went by and they announced Cursed Child. So that's fun.
Yeah, I feel like that, at least, like, I hated the Fantastic Beasts story. I watched the first one and I just didn't watch any more of them because it was like really boring to me.
So, yeah,
I feel like I'd be more interested in the continuation of the original characters than anything. So that to me is like, okay, well, I'll watch that. I'll probably watch that. But also, like, I kind of don't care because, like, the thing that sucks about the like way that stuff is going with movies is like this here with Lord of the Rings, more Harry Potter. I'm like exhausted of all, including like one of my favorite franchises, Star Wars. Like, I want them to make less and just better things instead of like just continuing to make more nostalgia. Which is, I guess, what kind of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, it's like playing on, we're bringing back the original cast. Right. It's like nostalgia. Right. So it's like, I would like to see more creative, like that's, okay, Andor, perfect example of in the universe of a franchise, but totally completely unrelated to, like, there's no Luke Skywalker, there's no Darth Vader, there's no
Right.
like anything related to anything. It's just like this story that's like self-contained within a universe, but like is just like a new story and interesting. That is what was cool about that. We just don't do we don't do enough new things. We just do the same. And the fact that they're remaking like one of the greatest movie franchises ever, like Lord of the Rings, like what are we doing? What? Like that's horrific.
Well, here's the issue. So, and this is my next question, and I'm so glad you brought it up. It's perfect. It's why we're perfect for each other. Because your wife is pretty upset about this Lilo and Stitch reboot coming. Like,
yeah, it's also stupid.
It's just, it's like, you're right. And hey, do you know what else? You know what else is hilarious? The people who still have the fucking balls to do an original movie or something, like an idea like that are winning. Like, look at, like, I'm pretty sure Cocaine Bear might be one of like early releases. It comes out today, I think, for the mass public, but like everything I've seen so far, great. Rave reviews, amazing. And I'm pretty sure the one day that Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey was in theaters here in the U.S., I'm almost positive they got like the best outcome possible. Like everything they ever wanted.
It's also like, it's just like, it's different. So people are like, oh, new and different. I'll check that out.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's the thing that I like love is like one of the only film studios where I'll go see the movies in theater 100% of the time is A24.
Really?
Because A24 makes wild shit,
right?
Weird movies that like no one else is doing A24 style movies because they're kind of like the last independent theater that has enough like sway to like make something like they did a couple years ago, The Green Knight, which is a weird trippy story. Which is like based off of a poem about I forget the name of the knight, the Green, but like they just did a whole movie based off of a poem and created like a weird trippy story.
Dude,
or like they did Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is probably in my like top 10 favorite movies of all time.
Dude, I'm looking at them now, and I mean their lineup is pretty. It's like. If I showed what I'm looking at to Megs, she would think that she would say you and I made these movies before, like she would never. Megs would never be caught watching probably any of these, and like she wouldn't know anything about them. But like,
have you watched Uncut Gems? Speaking of A24,
I've seen bits and pieces. I tried watching it when it came out, but I'm not a sports fan, and I just...
Uncut Gems has a special place in my heart because it's the last movie I saw before COVID.
Yeah.
Like when the world shut down, that if movie theaters didn't come back, that was the last movie I saw, and it was so fucking crazy, and I was like, damn, this movie rules.
Dude.
Also, my friend, my buddy Nate and I talk about this. Julia Fox, because like you sent me that she's like crazy.
Yeah.
Something happened, and I guess Kanye happened. Julia Fox in Uncut Gems looks and acts like a totally different person than she is now. It's like really weird. And I guess COVID happened to her too. You know, we all lost someone. But
yeah, well, she was John Safdie's muse, Uncut Gems.
Yeah, she rules in Uncut Gems though. She's good. She's like the mistress of Adam Sandler. She's great in it.
Right.
But that movie is A24 though, like I will see their movies because they make weird shit.
Interesting.
They make interesting shit.
Yeah.
And that honestly, I think, other than the couple of Marvel movies I've seen since COVID, because I'm never going to see one of those in theaters ever again. They're a waste of time. I've only watched A24 movies.
I'm so done, bro, with the Marvel movie. Listen, this is hilarious. So, okay, this is hilarious to me. The fact that, I don't know if you know this, but now, as of now, and we weren't, God, I'm so pissed about it. And I'm never going to watch it because of this. Avatar 2 is now like the best movie of all time because of the bajillion dollars it just made. So it just surpassed everything. But what's hilarious is that Disney and Marvel are marketing the new Ant-Man Quantanium whatever movie as Quantumania, right? They're promoting it as the #1 movie in the world right now.
They always say that.
And I'm like, hey, wait a minute. I thought Avatar 2 made $1 trillion. And
I haven't seen any of those movies. The last big budget movie I saw was Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I think we talked about this. Like, it actually made me furious because I was like, this movie's so bad.
Yeah.
And I know it's gonna make a ton of money, and everyone's gonna and people are like, oh, it's so good. It's such a good movie. I'm like, no, this is a shitty movie. Like, you all are brain dead. Like, what's wrong with you? Like,
it's almost
movie sucks.
Dude, and the last one I think I saw in theaters was maybe, I think if we're being honest, I think the last Marvel movie I saw in a theater might have been with my buddy Fred, and I think it might have been the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Which is a good one.
Like, and after that, I watched him at home. If I watched him, I watched the trailer for the new Ant-Man thing because I don't pay for anything, so our Hulu has ads on it. And bro, what are we doing? Like,
I know.
So
like,
Ant-Man has been in like another realm for the last 6 movies, I guess, that I havenven't seen, and now, but his daughter is there.
I'll catch you up on Ant-Man.
Okay, go.
Let me catch you up on Ant-Man.
Yeah, go,
real quick,
please.
This story is the second half of the last Avengers, which was Endgame is the last one.
Okay.
Because Infinity War was the first one, right? Infinity War and then Endgame?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so.
So, in between those two movies, Ant-Man 2 came out, which is called Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Right.
And Ant-Man and the Wasp ends, the last scene of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Ant-Man goes into the quantum realm.
Oh, shit.
Because they're exploring the quantum realm. And then the people, Michael Douglas and...
Michael Douglas is still in it?
Yeah, and the girl from Lost, Evangeline Lilly, and her mom is Michelle Pfeiffer.
She's the
They're
Wasp?
all outside,
oh, my God.
They're outside waiting to, like, pull him back out of the quantum verse, because that's how they do it. Like, somebody has to pull you back.
Okay.
And they get erased by Thanos snapping. So he gets stuck in the quantum verse, and they get erased by Thanos.
Bitch.
So, in Endgame, there's a 5-year gap between the snap and Endgame.
Oh, so he's been in it. So homie's been in the quantum?
He's just been in the quantum verse, yes.
Okay,
he
questions.
Questions. We don't know how,
Can you eat in the quantum verse? Does he go to the, like, how do you live in the quant? Does he have a house there?
Well,
it's been 5 years?
I'm assuming they explain this in this movie, because I have no idea.
Okay, that makes sense.
In Endgame, he's, like, out, he drives up to the Avengers facility and tells them, like, yo, I think we can time travel through the quantum verse, and that's how they fix everything, basically.
Right.
Because they time travel back in time to
put all the
every point in time, and they get all the Infinity Stones, and they put them back.
Yeah.
So he was down there. So the quantum verse, he was there, and then I guess his daughter grew up because 5 years passed, and now we're here. So.
Oh, right. And his daughter has a costume on in the trailer. So she's like Ant Girl now, right? So now we have an Ant Girl. Listen.
Yeah, it's just like in Iron Man where, like, all of a sudden everyone has an Iron Man suit. And it's like,
right.
Well, like,
right.
Not every character can be a superhero, because the other piece is, like, none of it means anything now, because it's just like, there's only so many times you can have a story where, like, oh man, this person, like, they did something like a movie ago and they feel bad about it. So now they have to, like, find redemption by doing another thing. And, like, there's always, like, some, like, emotional hinge point, and they grow and they learn from their mistakes from the last thing. And they're going to show us how they learn from the mistakes.
Right.
And that's the movie. And it's like, this shit sucks.
Right. I mean, now, listen, now you can, I mean, one could argue that the very first Iron Man film had that same premise. But
they've all had that premise. The only movie, it is my favorite one in the entire Avengers series.
Okay.
The only movie that is not that premise.
Yeah.
Captain America and the Winter Soldier, because the centrifuge of that movie is Captain America is dealing with the fact that, like, he was, like, in frozen for 100 years.
Right.
Or 50 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's, like, trying to figure out, like, what life is. He's, like, dealing with, like, yo, I was, like, when I went into ice. It was like the 40s, and now it's 2000s. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And he thinks like everyone he knows is gone because they're all old or dead.
Right.
And then the whole thing is him being like, oh, who am I now?
Right.
Am I a soldier?
Right.
Am I an Avenger? Am I just a guy who lives in the timeline that can't die? Like, what is this?
Right.
So, like, that premise is interesting. And then also, like, he finds out, oh, my best friend also was frozen and is still around, but he's evil now. And it was, like, this interesting thing. And then also he finds out, like, oh, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s actually bad because they're trying to hold a gun to everyone. Like, it's a very interesting, like, it was not the same thing as all the other ones.
Right.
And I love that movie because it's such an interesting, nuanced, like, story. And it's like, oh, cool. Captain America's, like, realizing that, like, oh, maybe the U.S. government isn't right all the time.
Well,
it turns out like this. Like,
well, and they didn't make him Captain America, which is like comic books 101, right? I think I'm right on that. That Bucky Rogers, like the Winter Soldier, he
became Captain America.
He becomes Captain America, and like they made Falcon's Captain America now. Who he had a failed Disney Plus show. I don't know, man.
Dude, that show. So I watched that. So I watched a bunch of the first run of shows. I watched WandaVision.
Yeah.
I watched Captain America and the Winter Soldier, whatever the hell it's called. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then I watched Loki. And I think the last one I watched was the one with Hawkeye, Hawkeye one. And those all suck now too. They started out pretty strong. Like WandaVision was great.
Okay.
Mainly because Elizabeth Olsen carried the entire franchise on her back.
Right.
She like is a great actor.
Right.
Crushed it.
Right.
And like they like wrote it interestingly, and it was also weird because it was just like, why is it the 50s now? Why is it like the 70s? Why are we in Malcolm in the Middle? Like it was very confusing and weird.
Right.
Until you figure out what's happening. Like by the 5th episode, I think they finally reveal what's happening. It's like, oh, this is kind of crazy. And then the best part about that is that show developed. Like Wanda realized, like, oh, I can't use my powers to do weird stuff, and then she is just a totally different character in the next movie she's in.
When she like discovers who she is and what she can do,
she's like, but like it's like all of the character development up to that point was erased. They put out the Doctor Strange movie that she's like the villain in now. Insane, dude, insane. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's stupid, and they need to stop. And like, apparently, Bob Iger said he's going to slow down Marvel and Star Wars now.
Oh, is he? Oh, Bob Iger. Yeah, no, he's not. No, he's not. No, he's not. He needs to pay for his salary. And if you stop making Marvel movies, now listen, Paul and I are the only two woke people on the planet. And so if we stop making Marvel movies,
yeah, that's it. The only two.
If we stop making Marvel movies, then it like, you know, Bob Iger's not going to have a salary anymore. Are you fucking, bro? No way.
Also, it's really
They're going to double
Bob
down.
Iger's like, oh, I'm stepping down as CEO during COVID when they were like furloughing people and everyone was mad. And stepping down.
Hey.
And now he's like, I'm back.
Especially now that they like shysted and shunned their boy James Gunn. And so DC was like, hey, we'll take you. Hey, we'll give you a job. And guess what? This Snyder guy's not really working out. So you do whatever you did for Marvel over here at DC, and we'll just sit back and let you kind of do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I love
you want to bring Superman
back?
Hey, bring him back. You want to start a whole new Batman thing and bring this Batman back I'm almost positive with now him at the helm of the DC movies and with the new Flash movie. We're going to have Robert Pattinson, Ben Affleck, and I think with James Gunn's new Batman movie, we're getting back a Batman that was there before. And rumors are it's either Christian Bale or someone else.
Probably Michael Keaton. I don't think Christian Bale would come back.
We'll see. So, you know what I mean? So, like, now we're going to have 3.
It'd be cool if Christian Bale came back, but I'd be really surprised.
He's got to clean it up. I hope he cleans it up. I hope he does good.
Dude, it's just like, but like, can we just like stop making superhero movies?
Well,
can we just like make other movies?
Yeah. Well, but that's the issue. Like, why did we shelve the Batgirl movie? Like, according to everyone that we've talked to, it was like one of the best movies that DC was going to put out.
Yeah, we just get rid of it.
Right. We just get rid of it. And
Yeah,
who? Oh God, it's crazy.
and then we can still put out the Ezra Miller movies. Yeah, I don't.
Oh, the Ezra Miller. I mean, come on.
This Lord of the Rings news is really like I'm very troubled by this because one, like it would be like I'm trying to think. I mean, I guess it would be like remaking the first 3 Star Wars movies because it kind of has the same cultural impact.
Right. So what do you do?
Think about like the memes,
right.
the memes that exist from the Lord of the Rings franchise, like the one to simply not just walk into Mordor meme that has existed since the dawn of time of the internet. Like, how are you gonna try to culturally rewrite something that has been part of the DNA of the like since 2003?
Right.
Like these have been like everywhere.
So what do you think? So what are
we're redoing these?
Right. So what are your predictions? Do you think this will be a like we're starting over? There's a character named Frodo in the Shire, and Gandalf comes with a ring, and we start all over again? Or do you think this will be like after the events of everything and the earth has changed and some, another group, a Hobbit or something uncovers the ring again? And then like, what do you think? I
don't have any clue what they do. Cause like Rings of Power was like incredibly confusing and disappointing.
So where was the time? Like, so what was the timeline?
The Rings of Power is like, I think like a couple hundred years before the events of Lord of the Rings. I'm pretty sure.
And the Hobbit.
And the main point of Rings of Power was like, oh, this is before the story you know. And the only 2 characters that we like know for sure at the beginning of it are Elrond, who is Hugo Weaving in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
And Galadriel, who is Kate Blanchett in the original one.
Right.
And like it's like a young Elrond and a young Galadriel, like the 2 elves as the only characters we like have known before.
Yeah.
But the problem with it is, and because of Lord of the Rings fans, is like Tolkien wrote like so many notes on what the history of Middle Earth was. Like there's a whole book that his son released after he died.
Yeah.
Called The Silmarillion. That isn't really like narrative. It's more like he just kind of wrote for himself like the history of things so he could like have a background for what he was doing for the stories he did right. Like Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit are like fully fleshed out stories he wrote. The Silmarillion's like his notes on the history of Middle Earth for himself, basically.
Yes.
And Rings of Power ignored all of that and just made up their own weird story. And like in their weird story, like Sauron is like hiding as like he's like a random dude, and he tries to like seduce Galadriel to join him as the Dark Lord, and then he tricks everyone, and they terraform the Southlands of Middle Earth and turn them into Mordor. And it's like this absurd story where I was just like, this shit sucks. Like this is like so it's very Marvelized. That's what the problem with it is, I think.
Right.
Like they like did the like Marvel thing of like, oh well, the bad guy's actually the good guy, and now he's like tricking everyone, and now this is happening, and like it wasn't really well executed. It was like really choppy and like weird, and then like the story was not at all like. He was just kind of like, oh, so that guy's Sauron. Okay,
right.
I guess that whatever.
Yeah, that's it.
It's very weird, and then
they just kind of gave you like the oh geez, what's it called? They gave you the oh my god, the origin story of Sauron, and that's it.
Yeah, but different than it's ever been told in like the actual books or anything, which is fine because books don't have to translate exactly. But like when you have a fandom that serious, you can't really do it so egregiously. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to, but I guess they're not worried about the Tolkien fans. They're trying to get new fans, probably. I guess it's the Amazon feeling. But and then so the Hobbit stories, those movies also suck, which pissed me off because the Hobbit book is one of like my favorite books from childhood.
Yeah,
and I loved it. And the movies, the book could have been 2 movies. There's like a very distinct part in the book where it's like. Gandalf comes and tells Bilbo like, yo, I need you to help me with this thing. We need a guy that's like your size. Yep. And then all the dwarves come to his house, and then he goes off on an adventure with the dwarves. And then in the book, there's like the forest they travel through.
Yeah.
You could have had the end of movie 1 be like all of the events up to the forest, and then movie 2 is like the forest and the rest of the story. That would have made perfect sense because that's kind of like how the story breaks up in the book.
Yep.
But they made it 3 movies because they wanted to make more money, and each like they added all this stuff that like wasn't part of the story, and then there's like a weird story where like an elf and a dwarf fall in love. It was so bad. It was so bad. It was like terrible, and I was so pissed off the whole time because I was just like, I love this book, and like it's the prequel to Lord of the Rings. The book like it ties in a way where like you're like, oh, this is how Bilbo gets the ring, and then like, oh, here's how Gollum loses the ring, and like, oh, here Gandalf, like, okay. And then in the movie, they like shove Legolas in. They like bring Orlando Bloom back to like, oh, another character you know, like kind of thing, like who's not in the book, even though he'd be alive, like he's not in the book. And like, oh, Legolas is back. Here's Orlando Bloom. You guys like him, right?
Right.
It's just like this weird, like stupid. I hate that we keep doing this. And that was actually, Harry Potter, I think, might be the first one where they took the last book and split it into 2 movies. And then everybody started doing that.
Oh,
that.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember.
Yeah, like they split the book, and like that was the first time I remember that happening, I think.
Yep. Yeah. Oh,
and then
yeah.
everybody just started doing
And then the Hunger Games happened, and then.
Yeah, they split the last Hunger Games into two. I don't think I finished watching Hunger Games, actually. I don't think I finished watching the Hunger Games series, and I don't think I finished watching the Divergent series. Because I read both books, but I don't think I finished the series of movies.
So I'm 99% sure this is all accurate. The Hunger Games, I'm pretty sure the last movie was just the first one. Candace plays again, her boyfriend plays again, they all play again. But while they're playing, they break the force field and they break into the they free
that's the second one.
They free all the people. Oh.
The second one.
Well, then
the third one in the book. In the books, the third one is they go to war with the capital and they get all the other districts to fight. And then District 13, which is like the hidden secret one that like they didn't know about, was still around underground.
Yeah.
They come in and kill, but they accidentally kill her sister in the bombing.
Oh no.
She gets killed by District 13 bombs, not by the capital.
That's right.
And then she's like, I can't be with you, Liam Hemsworth guy. And she's like, I'm gonna go be with the Peter Mellark, who is Josh Hutcherson guy.
She chose PETA, right? She chooses PETA over the 6-pack.
I don't think I've watched the last movie because I don't think I cared anymore at that point.
And then Divergent, I don't think they finished it. I don't think they ever released the last movie.
Well, dude, it would be hard to finish Divergent because in the books, Divergent as a book was like a big risk. I thought of it's a first person narrative of like the girl whose name I'm forgetting.
Yeah,
she dies in the book. And they have to switch to another character's perspective for the last few chapters. She dies trying to free everyone. And the main character, your first person who's been narrating the entire story, gets shot and killed. Like trying to save everyone.
Yeah.
So I was very curious how they were going to do that in a movie.
Yeah.
Like, it was, Shailene Woodley is in this?
Cheyenne Woodley, yeah. And I mean, even though she's like a crazy nut job, activist or whatever now, man, she's sexy. And I'm just saying, all I'm saying is, I think The Secret Life of the American Teenager was one of the worst shows ever on television.
I've never seen
that. Some of the worst acting, some of the worst dialogue. I mean, it was insane. But basically the premise is she's like 16 in high school and her nerd boyfriend have sex for the first time and she gets pregnant. So, and then everyone else, The Secret Life of the American Teenager. It basically was for our parents to watch. So they knew what we were doing any given day at a time.
Oh, cool. So they know how we were feeling about
Yeah,
got it.
So, they were supposed to do a fourth one. I'm reading this. I have a whole article pulled up now. There's supposed to be a fourth movie, but I guess it's never going to happen.
That's wild.
They scrapped the whole project.
I mean, like, I don't think I watched after the second one of those because I was like, these movies are not good.
Yeah.
And like the books. It's funny to think about how, like, at the same time in like I guess 2010-ish, 2012, whenever Hunger Games and Divergent were both like coming out.
Yeah.
We just wrote a bunch of dystopian teen stories of like, yo, everything's awful and you're gonna have to fix the world.
Yeah.
And then like, look at what's happened since.
Right. Right. Like The Giver and Divergent and Hunger Games.
Dude,
Yeah.
The Giver. Oh man, The Giver book. Whew. I remember The Giver as a kid. I was like, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Reading that in like 5th grade or whenever I read the book, I was like, oh shit, this book is crazy.
So one more.
Everyone gets their life chosen for them by the Giver.
Right. Yeah.
That was a crazy story. Which, yeah, that was a cool idea. I don't think I ever watched the movie they made of that though.
That's the only reason I know about it is I watched the movie. Yeah.
I read the book. I don't think I ever watched the movie. And I remember in the book, did they do it in the movie where everything's black and white until a certain point?
Yeah. Their world is black and white, and then when you break out, when the little buddy breaks out of it, he sees color. Yeah.
Yeah, that was in the book. I remember like, what a cool idea! Like what?
Yeah.
Like you're stuck in black and white until you like activate your mind, basically.
Yeah, that's neat.
Which is doing psychedelic drugs.
That's neat. Well, listen, the cast of did you watch? Let's go back one more time and talk about Reboots for a second. Did you watch Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide?
I did, and I just saw the podcast about this the other day.
Yep. So it's a part of the Podco network. I think some alumni from Disney Channel and Nickelodeon have something to do with it, but they're launching multiple Nickelodeon and Disney Channel themed podcasts, like Wizards of Waverly Place has one with 2 of the people from the show. What's her name? Kim Possible.
I don't know who.
Christy Carlson Romano. Christy Romano. She's been podcasting now for a few years, and I think she's behind all of this. And so, yeah. So Ned's.
She was the voice of Kim Possible?
Yeah, she was. Yeah. So Ned's Declassified, they have their own podcast now, but they were on Christy Romano's podcast over the weekend talking some shit about how Zoey 101 is getting rebooted and how Ned and his friends, his name's not Ned, I think his name's Devin and his friends pitched Ned's Declassified, like grown-up adult version of the show.
Just call him Ned.
Yeah. And Nick turned him down, but we're doing Zoey 101, you know?
Weird. I don't remember. I like watched it, but I like couldn't tell you what Ned's Declassified Survival Guide was about. Other than the book was him like, this is how you survive high school. But I don't like remember any of the details of the story. I know he had a crush on the girl.
Yeah.
Even though they were friends and there was a black kid that was his friend. I don't really remember the story actually.
Yeah.
I just know the details of it. Because I think that was like kind of the thing with a lot of those shows. They were just like kind of shows like even Lizzie McGuire. Like now we got the Lizzie McGuire movie, which is a capstone of the story. Dude. And that is a story I would like to know what happens with. I would like that to be continued.
Megs and I watch the Lizzie McGuire movie once a year. At least once a year.
And that reboot got canceled.
Did it? Oh yeah, it did.
Yeah, that was supposed to come out and then it got canceled. And that was a bummer because I was like, that's a story where like it ends on like they kiss for the first time as friends. You know, you're like, what the fuck? What's happening? And then we don't know. We don't know what happened.
Yeah.
That's disappointing.
Yeah, August 2019, it was announced Lizzie McGuire would be entering production for Disney Plus with Hilary Duff reprising her role. Dude, because, and you know what? Listen, fuck them. It probably had to do with her sexy ass photo shoot for that one magazine. But
I sent you guys.
Oh, man. Officially canceled in December 2020. Doesn't that suck? That would have been great. I would have watched that. I mean, it's Hilary Duff. She's banging. I mean, why not?
Yeah, I was hoping that was coming back, but no. See, we cancel the things that people do want to see the story continued, and we reboot and remake stuff that no one asked for.
Dude,
you know?
I mean, like, I have a confession. I never watched, and I probably should have, because it's like one of my top ultimate favorite shows of all time, but I never watched an episode of Girl Meets World. I couldn't do it.
No, yeah, no.
I couldn't.
No, I'm not, there's no way I was watching that or Fuller House on principle of
Right.
didn't ask for this.
Right. No, I never watched Fuller House either. And I'm telling you what, I mean, I even after, I will say I did watch some clips when they weren't getting the ratings that they thought they would. They brought all the old actors back from Boy Meets World onto the show for like, special episodes. I'd watch those clips on YouTube, but I mean, other than that, like, I don't know. It just it wasn't for me.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. Because I was my same brain world of just like, I'm not doing this. I can't watch this again. I can't be part of, I don't know. The nostalgia plays are stupid, dude. Unless there's like a compelling reason. Like Lizzie McGuire kind of ends on like a cliffhanger. I'm like, whoa, where are we going now?
Well, and that's what they tried to do was they this isn't the first time Zoey 101's popped back up, right? Like they released
they did that little short.
They released a short like 10 years ago with one of the kids.
Someone's law?
They dug up. So what happened was there was an episode.
Oh, the time capsule. Time capsule.
Episode in Zoey 101 where Chase films himself confessing his love for Zoey and puts it in the time capsule. And like 15 years later, the other kid, Michael, I think, digs it up and like interrupts Chase on a date with a bombshell, not Zoey, and is like, yo, I dug it up and she put a message in there for you and I watched it and I think you need to see it. And it was her confessing her love for him. And so then like, it's like, oh my God, I'm 25 years old now. I got to go find Zoey and we got to be together. And then like, that was it. And he was like, hey dude, wait a minute.
I think I watched that.
like, okay, but like, let's not like, I mean, cool. I guess if she's single now, we can maybe like, be together, but interesting to see what they'll do with the Zoey 101 reboot. I mean, hey.
Yeah, interesting what they'll do since also Jamie has been like kind of in the shit storm of like,
well,
being part of,
that's why she's doing it because they probably got her at half price. They probably got her at half price.
You were on the wrong end of the story with your sister, so we can pay you nothing.
Right.
But you'll get good publicity from bringing this back.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, exactly. Oh, yeah. And she's like, 250,000 per episode. Okay, I guess. Which in reality is like fucking infinite amount of money.
He's also on a TV show.
No.
What is the show?
No, she's not.
Stupid show.
No, she's not.
She's not on it?
Is
you
it?
know what show I'm talking about? She's like a reality TV show?
Are you referring to like the toughest show challenge in the world?
It was like they were like doing military trooper thing.
Yes, it's called the toughest. It's called the toughest challenge. It's basically Survivor, but they're just dropping them out of helicopters and making them do like military shit. No. Don't please. Don't be mistaken. She is on the show. She's on the show. And she did not make it through the first challenge. She said it was way too hard and she walked off.
Okay.
So they use her face in all the commercials, but she got canned on Twitter after it aired because she was like, I can't, oh my God, I broke a nail. And then like was never on again. She quit. She said it was too tough and she quit.
Terrible.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 79. Thank you guys so much for rocking with me. Thank you, Paul, for coming through. What a lovely conversation. I mean, everything from freaking parents to movies to Marvel to Star Wars to the nerd stuff. The stuff we talk about every day, all day, every day. This has been another episode of the What Are We Doing podcast. You can check us out at wadpod.com/links, WAWDPOD.com for those of you who don't know how to spell. /links, LINKS. Check us out there. That's everything you need. If you need help starting your podcast or you want to get recognized or upgrade it or do better or move on to phase 2 or 3 or 1 or get started, anything you need, whether you're beginner, intermediate, or advanced, head over to the dobetternetwork.com. We have stuff there as far as free resources, how to get started, podcast SEO, things you've probably never even knew you needed to do for your podcast. Check it out, thedobetternetwork.com. There's shows over there. Check out our friends. 2010 Minutes, 280 Plus podcast, Recap and Record podcast, this podcast, You're Doing Fine podcast. Check them all out over there on thedobetternetwork.com. My name is Levi McCurdy. This has been episode 79 of the What Are We Doing podcast. Thank you guys so much for rocking with me. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that button. And then as soon as you hit that big, beautiful red button, hit the bell right beside it. I know. Don't tell me what to do, Levi, but guess what? I'm doing it, and that's what's happening this week. So hit the red button, get us to 1,000 subscribers. My goal now is 1,000 subscribers by my birthday. We have until May 9th. We have until the month of May to get 1,000. I'll say the end of May. We have until the end of May to get 1,000. We're at 725 now. We're at 500 a month ago. We can easily make another less than 300 subscribers happen on the channel between now and then. So be sure to go to wadpod.com/YouTube, or just go to YouTube and type out the What Are We Doing podcast. If you just type out What Are We Doing, you're going to find some weird family blog that, we're battling with for SEO. So the What Are We Doing family vlog, shout out to them. I'm going to listen, one of the goals is to have the What Are We Doing family vlog on this podcast so I can then fill YouTube with clips of their channel on my channel. And then when they search for them, they'll get us and them, because right now they just get them. So shout out to the What Are We Doing family. We're going to get them. I'm going to reach out to them and get them on this podcast and figure out who's going to reign supreme on YouTube. And without your help, that's not going to happen. So hit the red subscribe button, check us out, follow us there, hit us up on Instagram, go to our website, tweet us on Twitter, hit us on Facebook, listen on Spotify, download on YouTube, watch over here, go to Good Pods, download that, click the links down below, and I'll see you in episode 80, baby. Shout out. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. This has been episode 79. Peace. This is the What Are We Doing podcast.